Hello students, in this video we shall go through the lab program 1. Lab program 1 deals with various JavaScript concepts. We have curated a series of various problem statements just to make you get acquainted with JavaScript concepts. So let's look at them. First, let's start with the a very basic JavaScript program. The aim of this program is to swap the case of all the characters in the given string. Okay, so here in JavaScript you already know this is how we have to define a function, and we have a parameter here which is a string based, and here we are returning the string dot split and map. These are two important functions that we have. The split method is used to convert the string str into an array of individual characters. So this is the array, or this is the string, and this will be converted into an array of individual characters. Then we have map. After splitting the string into an array of characters, the map method is used to iterate over each character and apply a transformation. So here we have used map to iterate over each character. Okay. So for each character char, the code checks if it is in the uppercase or lowercase. If the character is uppercase, it is converted to lowercase, and if it is lowercase, it is converted to uppercase. Here if you observe, we have used triple equals to, that indicates it is checking the case sensitivity of the value. So not only the value should match, even the case of that value should match. Alright, then later we have used join. The join method is used to concatenate all the elements of the array back into a single string. So let's go ahead and work or run this particular program. So in order to run, we have to say node space swap.js. The file name is swap.js. So here we have the quick brown fox. So the T is in uppercase, that has been converted to lowercase here in the console, if you can see, and H is in lowercase and it has been converted to uppercase in the console in the output. So that is how we use split, map and join to convert this particular string to, and which had helped converting this particular string into the case sense. That is, we were able to swap the case of this particular string with the help of split, map and join. Well, the next program is to find the most frequently occurring element in an array. Here, the most frequent function is designed to find the most frequently occurring element in an array. So let's see how this is working. Here we have initialized frequency, an empty object that will store the count of each element in the array. Max, a variable to keep track of the highest frequency encountered initially, set to 0. Then we have result, a variable to store the element with the highest frequency, initially set to null. Then we are using for each for iteration purpose. Now array dot arr dot for each item iterates over each element that is item in the array ARR, and counting frequencies. In order to count the frequency, we are using this particular line, line number 8. Frequency item equals to frequency of item or 0 plus 1. This line updates the count of the current item in the frequency object. So further, when we deduce this, if frequency of item is already defined, it uses its current value, otherwise it uses 0. Plus 1 increments the count of the current item by 1. Then tracking the most frequent element. If frequency item greater than max, it checks if the current item's frequency is greater than the current max. If true, updates the max to the new high frequency, sets the result to the current item as it is now the most frequently occurring element. So finally, we are returning the result. So let's look at how this works when we run it. So here 2 is the most frequently used element in the array. So we got 2 as an output. Alright. So let's move to the next program, which is duplicate. Okay. Here, since we have found the frequently occurring elements. Now here we are trying to find out the duplicate arrays, duplicate elements in an array. So in order to remove the duplicate elements, used we have used map, we have used set concept, and we have an array. So let's see how this works. ARR.map item. Okay, we have a callback here. This part of the code creates a new array where each element is converted to lowercase first. Then creating a set. New set is a collection of unique values. By passing the array of lowercase strings to set, it automatically removes any duplicate values. And if you observe carefully, we have a new set here. This triple dot is called the spread operator. It is used to convert the set back into an array. So finally we want an array. So we want to convert the set into an array. So we use spread operator. So the map operation iterates over each item, converting it into lowercase. Then we will create a set. Then we will create a result set, and finally spreading the set to an array. So let's look at how this works now. So these are the duplicates. Let's add so after removing the duplicates, this is the result set, which is converted to an array. Alright, so now let's move towards the next concept, the next program, which is properties. To print the properties of a given object. So here an object in JavaScript can accommodate multiple values in the form of key value pairs. So here I have given three fields, three keys, name, age and profession, and their values are John, 30 and developer respectively. So this is quite simple. Now I want to print the properties of this given object. So CLS before we run this. In order to avoid any errors, let's use tab. Yep. So the properties of a given object are name, age, and profession. Their values could be anything. Okay. So we were able to successfully print the properties of the object. The properties of the object are name, age, and profession. Now, if you want, we can add one more property. For example, okay, I've added another property. So let's rerun it again and check if this works. So the fourth property has been printed here. So this is how we can use console.log to print the properties of an object. Here we have used the object class dot keys of object, and keys represent the property names. So in the beginning I've said the object can accommodate data in the form of key and value. So if you want to print out the properties, then we may use keys followed by the object in which the data has been stored. Similarly, let's look at another example, which is here we are checking if a particular property has a specific a particular property has a specific property or not. Okay, a particular object has a specific property or not. So initially we have initialized an object with the array of details like name, age, profession. Okay. Now I have created has property, a function called has property to check if that particular property exists or not. So here I'm using return obj dot has own property prop. Okay, props in short are for properties. So here I'm specifically specifying if a property by the name age exists and a property by the name salary exists or not. So these are the expected values. Since salary is not here, so let's see what happens. True and false. Age exists and salary doesn't exist. Okay. So let's move to the next uh, program. Now let's deal with sortings. Let's go with bubble sort. So here we have a bubble sort code. We are all familiar with bubble sort from previous classes. So initially we have defined a function called bubble sort whose parameter is an array, and inside I have assigned the length of the array to n, and here I'm using the famous nested for loop to check the ascending order of the given array. Okay, bubble sort always puts the given array in ascending order. So based on each value and its index, we are trying to swap them. Okay, so this is the initial unsorted array 64, 34, 25, 12, 22, 11, and 90, and then we are calling this particular function called bubble sort, and we are trying to sort them based on ascending order. Let's go ahead and run this particular file. So for 64, 34, 25, 12, 22, 11, and 90, we got the sorted array 11, 12, 22, 25, 34, 64, and 90. Now let's move to the next sorting. It's not sorting. Let's get binary. So inside a function called binary search, whose parameters are array and target, let's look at the array. This is the array which I'm trying to search for, and this is the target, which is the element 3. Now, initially what is happening? We have taken two variables, start and end. The start is initialized to 0 and end is initialized to length minus 1, a typical array. Then the famous formula, we are dividing, or we are trying to find out the mid value. We are trying to find out the mid value, for which we have used math. We are trying to find the mid value, and based on the mid value we are checking if the mid value is equals to target. And if you observe carefully, we are using triple equal to in order to consider the case sensitivity as well. Return mid, else if we are checking if mid is less than the target, and we are updating the start, and else if mid is less than the target, we are updating the end. So we, from both the sides, we are checking, and we are seeing it to it that the mid matches with the target. So as long as mid doesn't match with the target, this keeps on going. The while loop keeps iterating. So let's work on this as well. So 2. The target element has been found in the index of 2. So 0, 1, 2. Then let's move to the next program, that is quicksort. Quicksort, you're all familiar with quicksort. First, we want to find out the pivot. We are calculating the pivot. So we have a left index, right index, and we have a middle index. And we are trying to match our left, right, and middle with the pivot. And based on that, we will move to the left or right. So that's how quicksort works. Now let's look at the next concept, that is, here we are trying to get data, we are trying to print data in a table format on an HTML page. So here in an HTML page, I want a table with fields name, age, and profession. Here we need to enter uh, we need to enter the name, age, and profession, which we already did. And here we are using the most famous methods, that is get element by id and get elements by tag name. Get element by id is a very useful method where we can pick a particular element by its id. In this case, the id is data table. So here I mentioned the id is data table. So JavaScript has been equipped with such brilliant methods using which we can pick a specific element by its id, by its name, etc. So here again we have used get elements by tag name tbody, and we are using insert row to insert the values into the table, and object dot values item, we are iterating through these elements, and we are trying to insert one by one in its specific cell. So here we are dealing with rows and columns. So let's so let's see how this works. So this is the table that has been created. The JavaScript was able to pick each element by its ID and tbody tag name. We have a similar type of program, but this is different. Here we are supposed to give the values and it will calculate the GPA. We have done a little bit of calculation here and event handling. So add event listener, it's a basic listener using which we can uh, work on submit function. So as this triggers, as the submit trigger is triggered, we will the function event occurs. Okay, let's look at this and let's come back to the explanation part. So here I'll give Rahul as a name, roll number as 1, as 55, and click on submit. Submit deals with the event handling, and here we got the GPA as well as the name, roll number, and marks. So let's see how this is working. Here, if you observe carefully, we have used const for name, roll number, marks, and GPA. And before that, we have added a event listener where upon clicking submit, we will get these values along with its GPA, and get element by ID marks table tbody. If you observe carefully here, the table ID is marks table, and in here we will have the values. This is where the values are being printed inside the table, and this is the array name, roll number, marks, GPA for each value. We are using for each to specifically traverse through each cell and put them in their appropriate position. Okay, so this was lab program 1. Consistently working on these will help you master the concepts of JavaScript. Thank you. We'll visit in the next video.